So here we are on the long-term adoption cycle where Metcalfe's law kicks in, and this is the thing that drives the exponential gains. Every time we get to this situation, we get new highs within about 18 months, maximum 2 years. In fact, within 3 years, even if you bought the 69,000 high, in 3 years, you'll see it go through. That's how it's always worked. Would it work this time that way? I don't know, but probability is there because of this network adoption trend that we're seeing. So I'm expecting 2023 to be a decently good year and 2024 to be extremely good year. If you remember, I said inflation, I think, goes negative. So therefore, we will see much more stimulus and growth will remain somewhat sluggish. So I'm again excited about where we're going to go. And we will go from 300 million users, and next time around we'll be at 1 billion users. And that trend rate of adoption just continues higher. So it's all to play for. And it feels always the darkest before dawn. And Christ, does it feel ugly right now. I mean, everybody hates everybody, and everybody's accusing everybody of being a scam.
In 2022, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the bevy of altcoins riding on the original gangster cryptocurrency's very long coattails weathered their most brutal crypto winter to date. Of course, the cryptocurrency industry is eager for an end to the long, drawn-out Bitcoin price winter. From Bitcoin miners and mining pools to Layer 2 chain developers like the Lightning Network to crypto day traders and crypto investors, confidence is shaken, fear and greed are high, and the metaphorical blood just keeps pouring out into the streets. When will it end? Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Real Vision CEO Raoul updates about his outlook for Bitcoin in 2023 along with the future price performance of Ethereum and XRP. Raoul also breaks down the importance of regulatory clarity in the space and how it will drive the future of institutional adoption in crypto.
Regulation appears to have cleaned up the space, and then people feel much safer to come in because the institutions are waiting. And I've had conversations throughout Raoul's Adventures in Crypto, both with hedge funds like Olaf Carson-Wee, with Jeff Dorman. I've also had it with people like Yuri and Timmer. I've had it with Sandy Call, and everybody tells us the institutions are still looking at this space. So my guess, regulation and an upswing in prices, upswing in global liquidity, and they start coming in a more meaningful way. There tend to be momentum chasers. Also, we saw similar after Madoff. Hedge funds are uninvestable, they're opaque, nobody knows what they're about, nobody's going to ever put money in them again. What happened? I think the hedge fund industry went up another 5x in assets under management. So that's what I'm expecting here. Regulation equals safety equals green light equals go. If that coincides with global liquidity, it creates fireworks. And the market has no short positions in. It has no real ability to short unless you want to use Binance. And nobody really wants to use Binance because everyone's a bit scared of who owns it, its opaqueness, even the audits. And so therefore, you've got very few shorts, and you've got a massive amount of money coming into the market. And stuff like ETH is deflationary the more volume there is. So the more volume there is, the less ETH's around, the more kind of reflexive in price it is. So I think we're setting up for a super interesting cycle. So I am been buying any money I can find. I'm throwing into crypto, literally in nothing else right now. I'm super focused. And I have been buying some NFTs. I'll come on to that in a bit.
The sharp market correction after the $69,000 all-time high in November 2021 was reasonable, understandable, and even expected by many. When the price fell to the $30,000 handle in May, it was nerve-wracking, but the Bitcoin price still looked pretty good to anyone hodling Bitcoin from January 1st, 2018 through January 1st, 2021.
The adoption trend, if you see this chart of Bitcoin, that's the log trend of Bitcoin. We're 2 standard deviations oversold. We're the most oversold we've ever been versus trend. And we're at the point of global liquidity turning. And we've got, if you believe in it, the halving. It's all coming into place exactly at the same time. Again, really interesting. And here's the long-term chart, log chart of ETH. Same story, right on that big support level. And these kind of things are really interesting. The last time we got the cyclical cycle down onto the logarithmic trend or to the bottom end of the logarithmic trend was 2018, December. November, December 2018, we saw that puke, the final puke lower, which I think we saw in Bitcoin in October from the FTX, and I think we saw in ETH in June. What happened was that's when volatility came to the low and the market started picking up. That period, as soon as the Fed pivoted, was a complete change in markets. 2018 had seen the kind of falls we've seen now, about 20-30% falls. It was sharp, it was nasty, everyone was terrified. And then what happened was the Fed went, okay, sorry, yeah, we can see the economic data is falling apart, inflation's coming lower, so we're going to stop. And I think the S&P did about 15%. I think oil did about something similar. And then the NASDAQ did about 20%. Exponential age stocks, the growth technology stocks, did about 24%. Bitcoin in 9 months did 300 or 400%, as did ETH. So these were staggering gains that came out of that environment. I've always referred to it like a beach ball being held underwater because the adoption trend is still there. What's fascinating about the adoption trend this time around, particularly in ETH, is the volumes have remained reasonably high. The number of active users has remained high. The total value transacted, which is the other part of the Metcalfe's law equation, has actually come down as the price of NFTs has come down. But the other measures look like it's robust. 2018, we saw a much larger fall in daily active users because it was earlier in the network adoption phase. But this time around, we get to build on top of what we built on from the last cycle. So that makes me very constructive overall.
That $20,000 price per coin was an important psychological support level. 4.5 months of price action firmly in the vicinity of that number seemed, after the dramatic price collapses in H1, like the good promise of a drawn-out bottom before the next trend rally. The question now is, how will Bitcoin perform in Q1 2023 and beyond?
Let's see how the incumbents, let's see if the XRP lawsuit gets settled. That's going to be interesting too, and I think it cleans a lot of the space up. Regulation, we've had some shitty regulation with the library deal, but we need some clarity. XRP is going to be one of them, and then we'll get a few more tests. Who's going to regulate all of this space? Next big question. Is it going to be Gary Gensler? Is Gary Gensler going to go into a different job? Is Gary Gensler going to lose a job over FTX? Is the CFTC going to get the majority of it? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I know there's a lot of people fighting the fight here. People like Ryan Selkis, Senator Loomis, and a whole bunch of others who are in DC, Brian Armstrong, making sure we get the right rulings and a fairness that the space requires to flourish. The US needs to regulate properly, and the SBF debacle proved that. Now, SBF was another person on the show, and barefaced lied to us about who he is and what he does. He was basically telling us he was trying to, put equities on chain and clean up the space and buy these businesses because we need to sort this out and move forwards, when what he was doing was barefaced lying because he'd gone bust and used customer money. Another extraordinary moment in time in Real Vision history where we get to see that in real time. And, a bloody sad event. But typically, if you're going to build businesses in this space, you need to be regulated if you're going to take people's money. I don't care what you say. Now, DeFi is different because it's written into the smart contract how you get liquidated and how you're dealt with. It cannot be fraudulently manipulated by people. And the SBF thing and the whole Alameda thing was rotten to the core, and we're still just finding out how extremely rotten it was, and an awful situation, but it's done. All the leverage is gone. Every leverage player's gone.
Most of the institutional investment in cryptocurrencies is yet to come as we finish 2022. Big hedge funds that invest for retirees' pensions and venture capitalists are still waiting with dry powder to get in on the opportunities that Bitcoin's price growth and volatility represent for them. They're waiting to get the regulatory green light from authorities to advance, and as they're waiting, they continue to learn and hire blockchain experts and engineers to make preparations for when that day finally comes, maybe in 2023. So, what are your thoughts about Bitcoin's performance in 2022? How will it perform in 2023? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.